I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Saman Rezaie, who practices at Integrative Health in North Scottsdale. He is a naturopathic doctor with a specialization in natural endocrinology, treating thyroid, adrenal, and hormonal diseases and dysfunctions. Also has a big interest with sports medicine and gastrointestinal health. He is passionate about pairing up with clients to help show you the path to improved health. He works with you to using lifestyle modifications and other therapies to get you back on track with life. Let's proudly welcome Dr. Saman Rezaie.
How you guys doing today? Good. Good. So perfect timing. You guys are having lunch, and we're going to talk about gastrointestinal health. So what could be better? So just to get into everything, so just a quick background. I know Ben gave me an introduction, but naturopathic medical doctor, got a master's in microbiology, and then was a pre-dental kind of an undergrad. So nutrition's always been big to me. Got really kind of sick with my health, obviously, in my undergrad, and then needed to find ways to improve it. It was never much for conventional medicine. Last antibiotic was probably in high school. Started doing dietary changes and looking for lifestyle modifications so that I could improve my health. So I wasn't getting sick anymore. And ultimately just fixing a lot of the gastrointestinal issues that I had. Had a lot of gastric bloating, struggled with sports through high school doing that, and I just needed to find a better way. So the gut is the key foundation of what your health is, and if you keep up with anything that's kind of going on, I'm sure you guys have heard the terms like leaky gut, dysbiosis, food sensitivities. So I'm going to kind of go through some of that stuff and just explain how that's affecting your gut so that you kind of have a better understanding, and that maybe you can put some pieces together and you can help yourself out with your own GI health if you have any issues there, okay? So what's on the menu today? So I just kind of went through, we're going to do normal digestion, you know, what could go wrong. I'll get into the food sensitivities, we'll do the dysbiosis, and then we'll get into the so I always like to tell people, you know, something, a concept you can get your hand, it's the digestion should be like a symphony, right? So in the symphony you've got string instruments, you've got the woodwinds, you've got brass, and you've got percussions. Now when everything's working well together, you hear beautiful music, okay? If little things are off here and there, no big deal, somebody misses a note, maybe one person's kind of playing a little bit off, it's not that big of a deal. But if you start having a couple things not go well, people aren't playing their parts, you start having, the music doesn't sound so great, right? The same thing's going to happen with your digestion, okay? So we need a multitude of things to work together. Like as you guys are sitting there, your body's going through digestion right now, whether you realize it or not, so you can assimilate all the food that you just ate, which is ultimately the fuel that you need to kind of get through life, okay? So just to go through what's normal, eating. So before you guys even came to the cafeteria today, digestion started for you. Just the fact that you thought about lunch and you started thinking about eating started that fact that you were, some of you might start salivating, right? So we started getting the saliva in our mouth going. Your stomach actually started to produce some hydrochloric acid and releasing some of the enzymes that need to start breaking down the food, okay? So once you walked into the cafeteria, if you could smell the food, next step happens, okay? So this is gonna amplify everything that we just start having in our mouth and our stomach to get digestion going, okay? All normal. It's never a problem, you know, so that's what we kind of want to see happen. So then you guys start chewing, so I still see some of you guys are chewing, most of you guys are done. Mastication starts happening, right? This is actually the physical breakdown of food. This is an important part because you're getting food in whole chunks. Your body can't assimilate that and take that in, right? It needs to break it down into smaller pieces so we can actually absorb that into our body and actually use it to build things. So not only is mastication happening, but then you have the saliva, which has amylase. So we start breaking down the carbohydrates once we get started, and that's in our mouth, just the first start. Then you'll swallow, we get into the stomach. This is where you have hydrochloric acid. So the pH of hydrochloric acid, anybody know that off the top of their head? It's 2, highly acidic. If we put that on the ground right now, that's gonna burn through this ground. Your stomach is able to hold that in there. That's pretty impressive, okay? So once food starts going in there, that acid actually helps you to start breaking down proteins, fibers, and just whole pieces so we can start assimilating that when we get that into our small intestine. You have trypsin, chymotrypsin, other digestive enzymes that are getting in there, and they're helping you to start breaking down foods into smaller pieces so again we can assimilate that into our body. So once we get into the small intestine, this is where you do a majority of your absorption, okay? So this is where we actually want to break things down from whole proteins down to amino acids, which will be individual units, or you're taking carbohydrates and we're doing monosaccharides. And then we need to individually, one by one, we're going to take that across the membranes of our cells so that we can get that into our body. That's normal absorption. That's how it should work. That's what should happen, okay? When that's not working right, we start having problems, okay? So you're going to absorb everything here. That's where we don't want to start seeing leaky gut or gut inflammation, things happening with your gut. Is where people will start having problems with their digestion. The next phase is the large intestine. So at this point, you should have assimilated most of the nutrients that you needed, macronutrients, micronutrients. What we have here is what we're going to get into later is most of your bacteria is located here in your large intestine, okay? So this is actually going to help you break down more foods. You're actually going to activate and absorb more vitamins, vitamin K, B1, B2, B12. If it hasn't been absorbed already in the ileum with the B12, this is where we start activating and absorbing more vitamins into our body that way, okay? Also a big part where we start pulling water out, any excess water, we want to pull this out. So if anybody's ever had a stomach bug, flu, you have watery diarrhea, you start getting electrolyte imbalance because where you're absorbing in the water is flushing out of you as well, okay? So this becomes a major problem. So we just want to take care of that gut health so that we can continue to kind of keep water balance, electrolyte balance, and ultimately a lot of the vitamins that you're going to absorb through your diet. Last is elimination, okay? So some of you guys are after lunch, you know, if you're kind of regular, you're in the bathroom. That's okay, that's normal. That's what we need to do. If you're not eliminating all the toxin that's kind of left in there, just think about that. That's toxic that starts building up in your body. That starts to back up the whole toxic load in your body, and you start suffering from that. So if your digestion is that you're not eliminating, usually at least once a day, usually you're kind of falling out of kind of like normal elimination. Okay? Some people will be healthier. You always hear people who are going like 2-3 times a day every time they eat. So every time we start that process of eating, usually you should have a bowel movement. As long as you're eliminating once a day, we're on track, everything's good, you're doing well, okay? So, we've covered what's normal, right? What could possibly go wrong, right? You guys just sat down, had a meal. If everyone's having healthy digestion, we just went through everything I talked about. Maybe you do the elimination afterwards, maybe you don't. But everything should be fine. But that's not what happens. So the reason this is such a big deal is if you actually think about the tube that starts in your mouth and goes out your anus, this is a tube that's technically outside our body, okay? It's a tube that we're built around. So everything that comes in there, you're eating multiple times a day. If the food is not clean, if you're getting exposed to bacteria, viruses, anything that's not part of what you're supposed to be, it's going to cause problems for you, okay? So that's why what's going on with your digestion day in and day out is super important for you to know how you're absorbing foods, the health of your gut lining, and ultimately just the health that you'll have with your body further down the road, okay? So, I'll give you some signs and symptoms that we kind of want to look through when things aren't working right. So the first part, really guys, we're eating, you know, indigestion is going to be things are kind of sitting in our stomach. We're not doing that digestive process I kind of told you about. This will go to reflux, this will go to GERD, some people get the nausea. So this is your first symptom that we know that something's happening in the stomach, up in the higher end of our GI tract, okay? Next, we're going to do gas and bloating, okay? I get this all the time from people. It's like, I woke up, tummy was flat, started the day great, started eating meals as the day goes on, their stomach was coming out more and more. And I hear the comment from men and women all the time. They're like, by the end of the day, it's like I'm pregnant. They're just bloated out. So this is where you start seeing small intestine issues. So if you're having a lot of bloating issues, you know that something's wrong in your small intestine. And the last one we got to is the constipation diarrhea that you're going to deal with. So now we're going into like the then third, okay? So this is going to be in your colon, all right? So we know that if we're not eliminating appropriately, like we're constipated, the bacteria is probably off, all right? And if you're actually having diarrhea, again, the bacteria is off. So this is where the dysbiosis piece will really become big, and I'll show you how that happens with all the bacteria that ends up in your large intestine. So, with the signs and symptoms I gave you, I just tell people, pay attention to digestion. This is key for health. This is, you guys would pay attention if something's happening with your car, right? It doesn't drive right, when you put gas in it, you want to know that the fuel goes in, it gets burned appropriately, and you're not having exhaust, other things, you know something's happening. So for you to pay attention to that day in, day out, that you know that your digestion is optimal so that you can obtain all the nutrition, vitamins, minerals, macronutrients that you need to then be able to function, all right? So one of the first things I'm going to cover is the food sensitivities, okay? So you guys should be able to eat most foods and have no problems, okay? Most people will be able to eat 100% of foods and usually have no problems. I'm talking about whole, complete foods, okay? Now you will run into people that actually have true food sensitivities. Especially the Caucasian population, what you'll start to see is dairy actually is a big food actually that causes a lot of problems for people, okay? So they can't digest the proteins appropriately. It's not the lactose that I'm talking about, so some people talk about they're lactose intolerant. That's missing an enzyme. That's it's going to fall into more of an intolerance, okay? So they're not able to break down that disaccharide into monosaccharide. That disaccharide stays in the lumen of their gut. The body tries to flush it out with more water, and that's why they end up getting diarrhea, okay? Because we have too much sugar content. I'm actually talking about protein contents of foods. You should be able to eat all these foods and not have a reaction or a problem. But your body starts to have problems with these proteins. Some of them are true sensitivities, some of them become acquired sensitivities. So if you're causing a lot of inflammation with your gut, how does that happen, right? So you're either eating sugars, artificial sweeteners, some people use coffee, some people drink too much alcohol, some people are eating foods that are processed foods, they're not eating whole complete foods. So what happens is we start causing that inflammation of the lining of our gut. As that's happening, what you're end up going to see is we're going to start seeing what that normal junction that I was telling you that we should see foods get broken down into individual particles and that gets transported across our cells one at a time. You start causing those tight junctions to open up. So now we're not able to take things one at a time. If there's whole protein sitting in there, they start going through the alleyways which are between the buildings of the cells. And now our immune system is going to start reacting to this, okay? This is how you build food sensitivities. That you might not have real food sensitivities, this is how you start getting more food sensitivities to foods that you shouldn't be reacting to. So, a lot of times what you'll see is with diets that people put out there, they just kind of put out like a diet and like eliminate these foods, and everybody's always like, well, do I need to eliminate all those foods? They're just doing a general diet for the public. So usually you can cover most people's most common food sensitivities by being like, eliminate this, this, and this, okay? Now the reason you'll get some of these to be your more common ones, the dairy, okay? It's the major protein in their casein. Casein is a large protein, okay? When our body starts to break that down, sometimes you don't break it down all the way, so amino acid sequences stay in the gut, and then your immune system starts to see it, tag it, react to it, and then it'll actually find that same amino acid sequence in your body. This is what we call molecular mimicry, okay? This is one of the things that you'll start seeing with autoimmune happening for people. You're eating foods that you think are okay with you, you're not digesting them appropriately. The immune system sees that whole protein or that part, it starts to actually find that sequence in the tissue of your body, it starts to go after it, and now you have autoimmunity happen, okay? Gluten, I'm sure everyone's heard about gluten at this point. So with wheat, there's one gluten that everyone talks about. There's multiple glutens in wheat. There are other proteins besides the glutens in the wheat, okay? Now gluten tends to be another big protein just like casein. Same process, same thing happens. The third is going to be eggs. Eggs has albumin. Again, another big dense protein. That's why these are always the big three you end up hearing about. And then you have the other common six, corn, nuts, soy. So usually you'll see a general diet. That doesn't mean that you guys need to avoid all of them if you want to get individualized and figure that stuff out for yourself. But usually you'll see general diets and they'll just lump these together. They're just like, throw them out. It doesn't mean that the foods are all bad. It's just that you're eliminating them so people don't react to them. You take the inflammation down on somebody's stomach by eliminating the major proteins that it could be reacting to, and then you can get that gut inflammation that we're talking about to start healing. All right, so the other piece that I'm telling you about, the reason these proteins need to break down so much is because 80% of your immune system is built around your GI tract. I just told you guys that whole tube running through your whole body is outside your body. So if things want to start coming in, you need to have high security. It's literally your army, and they need to check everybody who's trying to come across the border, right? So it's border control. We don't want things that shouldn't be coming across, coming into our body, causing problems, because it's not going to go well for you, okay? So the other piece is we start getting into gut dysbiosis. This is where, if you're following the research, more and more they're showing us that bacteria is a huge part of us. There's so many more bacteria in our gut that are actually human cells, okay? So you need the bacteria to actually do some of the digestion that we were talking about in normal digestion. They're the ones that are actually coming in and breaking down fibers, starches. They're the ones that also then help activate a bunch of the vitamins that we need to help absorb in the large intestine. They're going to create short-chain fatty acids in our gut to help keep bad bacteria away, keep yeast at bay. And at some point earlier in the GI tract, they create a lot of vitamin A, and this is very antiviral, so it stops those viruses you hear about, rotavirus, norovirus, and the ones that cause that gut GI flu that you end up having. So you have them all producing all these little things that help your gut just digest everything better, keep everything better. So this is your GI tract going through. If you start looking, we're going to start increasing magnitudes of tens to hundreds each time we go through of the amount of bacteria that is at some point in the GI tract, okay? Always going to be lowest in the stomach. Why? Because you have a hydrochloric acid. I just told you pH of 2, super acidic. It's going to take a lot to usually get past that. So it has its major events in the stomach already happening, okay? You're going to amplify that going into the small intestine. We're already going by a fold of 1,000 at least, if not 10,000. So that's a big jump in the number of bacteria that you're going to see in that gut, okay? What you'll end up seeing is the strains are a little bit different, but usually if you guys are looking at probiotics, Lactobacillus tends to be the big genus that you guys end up seeing, and then there's all these subspecies that they're starting to show. So if you ever want a really good probiotic, one of the things I'll just tell you right off the bat is you want to make sure there's lactobacillus strains that are in that probiotic to help with the small intestine, because that's the major one that goes through the whole small intestine, okay? Again, you're going to get to the ileum, you're going to see that fold possibly increase if any of you have great diversity of the gut, okay? So again, another 100-fold jump. And then you go into the large intestine like I told you. This is where the majority of your bacteria is doing the digestion for you, activating vitamins so you can absorb that through your large intestine, okay? Again, if you look at the fold jump, we just jumped anywhere from possibly 1,000 up to hundreds of thousands. And so this is where you start getting to having trillions of bacteria in your gut, okay? We don't have that many human cells in our body. So just to show you for the comparison, that's a 10-fold increase from the number of human cells you have compared to the bacteria you have in your gut. Why wouldn't you want to take care of these guys? These guys are doing so many important things for you whether you realize it or not, okay? Middle section. Like I told you, digestion, we're getting energy from our food, correct? Essential vitamins, I told you some of that's broken down small intestine, and also in the large intestine, most people think the digestion is actually done. Regulates your immune system. Why? Because if you have good, healthy bacteria that our immune system is familiar with, you're not going to piss off the immune system with bacteria that you don't know that's going to cause problems, which is going to cause your immune system to go out of function, okay? Regulates your blood sugar and your metabolism. So for the last, this part's really important. So there's people who end up struggling with weight. Sometimes they don't know why. They struggle getting weight off their body. And a lot of times it's actually the dysbiosis in their gut. So they've done studies showing people that tend to be a little bit larger and tend to be thinner. What they found was the diversity of the gut of the thinner person is more diverse, and the amount of actual bacteria they have in their gut is significantly more, okay? They've done studies with mice. They take mice and they'll specifically cut certain strains out of their gut. And automatically what happens is that first generation, the mice get fat, and the one that cut the certain species out, and the one that has the full spectrum of the bacteria in the gut stays thin. All right, so then they end up taking those into the next set of tests. They do a fecal stool transplant of taking the bacteria from the thin mice and put it in the mice that got fiber. They specifically took the bacteria out of them. Those mice end up thinning up. They end up matching the thin mice over here. So if you were following things for a while, they were talking about doing stool transplants for people. They're actually talking about doing for IBD, irritable bowel disease. People specifically who had ulcerative colitis or Crohn's. And they were finding, and actually fairly successfully, 80–90% when they do that stool transplant, their lining would heal. All of a sudden you have remission of IBD, which is not supposed to be fixed if you talk to conventional medicine. You all of a sudden saw lining that was irritated, red, bleeding, that normally what they want to do is cut out. If you go through conventional medicine, you actually see that tissue heal. So taking care of your bacteria is a huge deal. If you don't know about this, if you don't take probiotics, I'm not telling you that everybody needs to take probiotics, because if you're taking a really good diet in, you feed the healthy bacteria with the fibers, with the resistant starches. There's about 16 starches you need through your diet, and if you're eating a wide variety of foods, you'll get all of those, and that's a prebiotic. So that helps feed all that bacteria so that you can keep a diverse bacteria biome in your gut. So like we talked about, there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. You want to house as many good bacteria as you can, and we want to keep the bad bacteria out of there. You don't always get that option. Why? Because you're eating every day, multiple times in a day. You don't know where the food came from, you don't know who touched it, unless you're cooking it at home, and even there it can still happen, but that's the most controlled environment is eating at home, okay? This is where people can also sometimes go out and eat. There'd be a group of 6 of us, let's say, went to go eat. 2 of us get really sick, we all eat the same thing. They might not have as strong of a biome or diverse of a biome, they weren't able to fight off the bacteria, the virus, or whatever they got exposed to. The other 4 people had a better biome. Maybe 2 of the other people had like lighter symptoms, and 2 people were kind of like not phased, untouched. The biome made the biggest difference for them. Okay? And then what ends up happening is when you have an event like that, when you have like a GI flu where you get cleared out, what ends up happening is first come, first serve, so whatever grows back first ends up controlling your stomach. So if it's bad bacteria that grows back first, that's going to become your main bacteria, and you're going to start noticing that you had more digestion issues than before when you had that viral attack in your stomach. So this is where the dysbiosis, what I'm telling you. So you'll notice that the IBS-like symptoms, when I talked about IBD, which is more the disease state, this is more the dysfunction with the IBS, where people have irritable bowel syndrome. Sometimes that's with constipation, with diarrhea, it could be mixed. Right? Allergies. I see this happen all the time with people's allergies. They actually end up, you don't just have a biome in your gut. We all have biomes in our respiratory system, so in our sinuses, nasal passages, going into our lungs. And then for the females in the vaginal canal also, that's where you also have bacteria, right? If you're born, and you're born through the vaginal canal, that's where you get your first exposure to bacteria. When you do a C-section, you skip that. What are we seeing more and more happening? We're seeing more and more C-sections scheduled. Babies are being delivered that way. What are we seeing a ramp up in? Allergies, other things happening, respiratory, asthma, because they never get exposed to that first line of bacteria that should be happening naturally through birth. Now I get that things happen, and sometimes things need to be C-section, but what you can do if that ends up happening, what you actually want to do is take the vaginal mucosa, rub it, swab it, and rub that all over the baby so they can actually get exposed to that. So they're not being cheated out of that, because that's what starts their biome that actually happens in life. So what's all this leading to? Pretty much leads to the leaky gut that I told you about, right? The gut inflammation, dysbiosis, we end up going to the leaky gut, which ends up making your body see whole particles that it necessarily should never see. And then we start going to immune sensitivities, and I'll just go into more detail of what that's actually breaking down for you. So I just put this in because when I hear leaky gut, for me, I see the cells and I see like what's happening in the gut, and then most people hear leaky gut and they're like, what does that mean? Like, am I actually like leaking out of my gut? Like, am I pouring out? And I was like, to a sense, yeah, you are, but it's not to this extent, okay? We are leaking through our gut, but they're like microaggressions that are happening that, you know what, for a little while, not too bad. Maybe you go, let's say you go out for a weekend and you decide to drink a bunch of drinks, you cause a little gut irritation. Does it cause leaky gut? No, but if you start adding multiples of those in, start taking care of your diet where you're eating more like fast food, processed foods, eating sugar all the time, all of a sudden that gut inflammation becomes real and you will have the leaky gut. So this is what the healthy gut should be doing. Tight junctions, this is what I'm telling you about. So these tight junctions are really important. There's a big thing they're starting to look at is zonulin levels in people. It's a protein that actually will show you if your tight junctions are healthy or if you actually are open and we need to actually fix your tight junctions. Another big nutrient that you kind of want to add in is vitamin D. Vitamin D has actually helped to heal tight junctions. So this is where you're seeing a lot of people starting to become deficient in vitamin D. I don't know how many people I test across the board. It's rare that anybody has good vitamin D if they're not supplemented. Okay? So vitamin D is a pro-hormone. It influences a lot of things in our body, but most importantly, it will help those tight junctions for you to help heal up the leaky gut. So, people then want to know how we get there. So we talked about some of them. One of the biggest ones we did talk about is stress. Okay? So, stress, how does stress cause leaky gut? If it's mental, emotional, physical, and people are always like, what's the physical? When you work out, what do? You release cortisol. So now you have people who start working out, they want to work out 5-6 times a day, they want to do 2 a day, they're addicted to exercise, they want to do it a few hours a day. They're pumping out cortisol all the time. And the reason this becomes problematic is cortisol is catabolic, it actually breaks your tissue down. They're not doing the other things that they actually need to do to make exercise healthy for you, which is sleep enough, eat the right foods, eat the right amount of foods, drink enough water. And so a lot of people when they're trying to lose weight want to work out more, eat less, right? So they're creating the stress in their body. And ultimately they start breaking down the gut tissue and that leads to their leaky gut. I see a lot of athletes sometimes over triathlons, bikers, just weightlifters in general who just push their body too much and weren't taking care of it and they end up getting leaky gut. It takes a while to fix that. Usually if I get a client who has leaky gut, I tell them it's 3 months to 12 months, and sometimes longer, just to fix that. So once you get there and it's really bad, it takes a while to get you back out of it. So whatever you can do to keep yourself from going there, take care of it now. So the other piece that I was talking about is what the leaky gut ends up leading to. That inflammation doesn't just stay in our gut. Nothing in your body's vacuum. You can't go see a gastroenterologist to fix your gut problems because you're going to have multiple problems happening. So that becomes systemic inflammation. This is where people start having joint pain, migraines. It starts leading to autoimmune disorders. I see a lot of Hashimoto's. A lot of times it deals with the food. RA is a rheumatoid arthritis, which is also going to be an autoimmune disorder. At some point, we start getting the IBD, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. Those are going to be autoimmune disorders actually attacking the gut lining. So this is happening more and more. So a lot of times when people have that, one of the first things we want to look at is the gut so we can fix it. The other one's food intolerances. So we talked about food sensitivities. Some people will have true food sensitivities. But as you get the leaky gut, all of a sudden you're reacting to all kinds of foods that you shouldn't be reacting to. So people start having 10, 15 food sensitivities plus, that person's got leaky gut. I can just tell that from a food sensitivity test. Once you have that many markers coming across, you're reacting to that many foods, that's not normal, okay? So you really want to do the things that we're talking about, avoid these things if possible. Toxins, stress, medications. Of the worst medications, antibiotics. Antibiotics don't discriminate between good bacteria and bad bacteria. They just napalm and clear everything out, okay? You can use more natural products, garlic. They've done research showing that garlic actually will kill bad bacteria and leave the good bacteria in there. But you also have natural agents that will act like antibiotics. Oregano oil that people think that they're going to take is again going to kill good and bad bacteria across the board. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we need to just be educated on what's going to help heal our gut, be smart about your food choices. And if you start noticing any of those signs and symptoms of that we talked about, indigestion, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, something needs to change. Do it sooner than later. Don't wait, okay?